So I've had a lot of difficulty in starting this review because there are two types of people in the world. The type of people who know what SCP is and are very excited at the thought of a new SCP game, and those who have no idea what SCP is and are wondering what the hell I'm talking about. Let's go and have a look at the SCP page. I'll read from that page for you. I won't show it on the screen, but I'll read it to try and give you an idea of what SCP is and why people are excited about it. For those of you who don't know, for those who do know, just bear with me for a minute. Let's try and spread the knowledge. Right, the SCP website was a wiki, which was a collaborative writing site based around the premise that, in essence, magic is real. It's not exactly like the traditional fantasy-style magic you've come to know, but that's the best way they can describe the stuff they have there. Anomalies, items and critters that do not follow the rules of nature as we know them. Staircases that go on forever, mechanical gods from the beginning of time, otherwise regular humans who reshape reality with their mind. Those are the kind of things that, if known to the public, could cause mass hysteria and start wars on scales unprecedented. Due to that, there exists an organization called the SCP Foundation, whose job is to research paranormal activity, keep these creatures and objects concealed from the public, and protect humanity from the horrors of the dark. So that's the kind of setting that the site is based in, and the idea was that it was originally was a sort of a horror creepypasta site, created around the time that wikis were sort of new and really interesting to people. And so they opened up this wiki, and you could write an article and submit it, and if it got accepted, it would become part of the official canon, as it were. And they're quite aggressively hostile to people contributing to the wiki now, because because it's gotten so big and so popular that they need to keep the quality up. But you can still go there, write a proposal, just follow all the rules and things like that, and maybe get some stuff added to the main wiki. I'm not going to go too much further into it, but I will link to the introduction in the description so you can see what it's about. Jumping ahead, we're now going to talk about this game. And what is this game? This game is based on one of the particular SCPs. So it's the SCP Foundation, and if they find an anomalous entity of some sort, they give it a number, so it'll be like SCP-1011, and then they create the article about it, and it talks about possibly how it's discovered, everything they know about it, how it's discovered, how it's contained, what it does, what experiments are done with it, and that's what an SCP article is, and that's why the SCPs have a number like SCP. I think this one is 914. Let's jump into the game, because the intro does explain a little bit more about this specific SCP, and you can see what the gameplay is about it. So what I'm gonna do is I discovered a bug with the sounds, whereas there was background music here in the menu, and I turned the background music down, and there is sort of ambient sounds in the menu that also contain music. So I had to turn the master volume down as well, but I'll turn it back up. As you can see, so there is that, and then there's like music that is blended in with the main background sounds, and I don't know, it feels like a bit of a bug to me. Anyway, new game. So we want to start a new game, and we get this intro. Hello, let me introduce to you SCP-914, also known as the Clockworks. This machine can refine or alter objects placed within it, with the outcome depending on the setting chosen. You can go to the SCP-914 page in the wiki and read about the original article that was submitted. This game is presumably not associated with the original writer of the article in any way. So yeah, but they picked on it and they've created the game about it. This machine can refine or alter objects placed within it, with the outcome depending on the setting chosen. So you can see there's an intake, there's the 5 settings, and then there's the output. On this intake area, you may choose any item from your inventory and place them inside. So if I go to my inventory, I see all I have is a steel cube. So if I click on this, I can then select steel cube and place it there. To choose a setting, click on the arrow on this part of the machine. The rough setting can break an object to its most fundamental components. The coarse setting can dismantle an object to lesser parts. The one-to-one setting can transform an item to an equivalent item with similar composition but different characteristics. The fine setting can refine an object to a higher version, and the very fine setting can refine an object to its utmost potential without regard to the laws of reality. SCP-914 consumes power. If you don't have enough power, you can place an item here to convert it into power. And I haven't been able to use that, so I don't know if that is still functionality that's going to be added. It's an interesting step to it, because here is the power at the top that is slowly regenerating. But yeah. So anyway, so we have this item, which is basically a steel cube, and we can choose to either render it down to its most fundamental components, which will only take 5% of our power. We can render it down to sort of generally component parts, which will take 10% of the power. So it's like the difference between if you put a watch in there and chose rough, you would get like bits of metal and bits of leather and things like that. But if you chose coarse, you would get sort of the cogs and the wheels and things inside the watch. So those are the two differences there. If you put the watch in and moved it to 1-to-1, you would get like a clock or a thermometer or some other device, kind of similar in quality and similar in technological level, but with a slightly different function. If you put the watch in and chose fine, you would probably get an extremely high quality, expensive watch, just made perfectly and functioning. And if you chose very fine, you would get a device that could tell you the time in different realities or something like that. It's those kinds of concepts. And I see we're up to 80% of the power. So let us choose very fine and see what this device turns our cube into. We click confirm. It goes through the mysterious clockwork mechanisms, and presto, out comes the output area. Once the item is created, we click here to obtain it for analysis or further processing. So if we click on this, we get a temporal fragment. Now the tutorials continue to tell us about the game settings. This is the power bar, what the SCP is consuming. We've seen that. This is your reputation points. You can use these points as the currency in all areas on the map. You can earn reputation points by completing hallway tasks. Reaching 1,000, 2,000, and 3,000 of the points upgrades the research level. In turn, this unlocks a whole new category of items and new tasks in the hallway for those categories. Note, the use of reputation points is not available in the current version of the game. So this is a game that is still heavily in development. A lot of things haven't been added yet. But I gotta say, just looking at the items that have been added so far, I'm super excited to see where this game is going. And then there's the map, which we'll click on now, and then this is the inventory, which is the items that we have. Other areas of the map are still in development on the current version of the game, which we'll see in a moment. So if we look at the item we've just picked up, we have a temporal fragment, a shard of steel that shifts slightly forward or backwards in time. It flickers in and out of existence and can sometimes be felt before it is seen or heard. So this is the very, very fine equivalent of the metal cube that we have. I'm not quite sure why it has something growing on it. It's interesting. I don't know if this is supposed to be a reference to a different SCP or something. But so that's what we got out of the machine. If we have a look at the map, let's look at the rest of the game. So this is the facility, the SCP facility. SCP has multiple facilities. This is the facility that we're in. Here is where we are at the moment. This is our Clockworks room. So if we click on that, we can go inside there, and yeah. So this is where we started. Over here we have the hallway, which is what they mentioned, which has a large board on the wall with things that people want. So if we click on this, we can see that we have kind of missions, which is probably going to be the primary mechanism of the game. So we have these missions for materials or objects that people want, and we can poke about in the Clockworks and hopefully resolve one of these items. For example, here Dr. Redacted, there's a lot of redacteds in SCP articles, is seeking material capable of interacting with temporal distortions to study another SCP, an anomaly that causes localized time shifts affecting both objects and personnel. Standard equipment is unable to function consistently within an anomaly's influence, as time itself becomes unreliable and unpredictable. And a material with inherent temporal properties could serve as a stabilizing anchor, enabling precise measurements and safer experimentation within the anomaly's field. Now, we had, our item that we discovered had temporal elements in it. So let's submit this to maybe it's something that suits their needs. And we, in theory, gained reputation and completed a quest. So we succeeded in that particular quest just through luckily producing a temporal object. So now we have nothing in our inventory, so we can't actually do any more experimentation. I did reach this point earlier and was suddenly given a different object. But yeah. Oh, there we go. So we received a new item in our inventory. We got a crystalline bloom. A chaotic steel formation that resembles a jagged flower with brittle crystal-like extensions protruding in all directions. It crumbles easily but retains its dangerous edges. So yeah, that's something else we would now put into the machine and experiment with. But we're not going to go look at that now. We're just going to look at the rest of the map because it's interesting, and then we can talk about this game a bit more in the critique section. But I'm just showing you around for now. So this is the Materials Research Lab. This area of the map is still in development, so there's nothing we can actually do here, but this will no doubt be somewhere where we can poke at things that come out of the machine and see how it works and things like that, and find information about it. We have the D-class personnel testing zone. So yeah, there's a one of the dark themes running through SCP fiction is that there are D-class personnel who are typically condemned prisoners who the Foundation has access to and can take and then essentially use in the experiment. So if you have a weird anomaly of some sort, you don't know what it is, you get a couple of D-class personnel and you sort of push them in towards the anomaly without telling them anything about it because nobody cares about the D-class personnel, and they typically die in some horrible way. Testing sounds currently a work in progress. Effects of other items cannot be determined at the moment. So yeah, so we would put an item there and see what happens to the person who interacts with it, and that'll be probably the darker but also the funniest part of the game in the future. I'm looking forward to that element being in there, which is probably not something I should be looking forward to, but anyway. Disassembler, reassembler. So this is a different SCP that can take things apart and put them back together again. That's also still in development, but I imagine you can turn objects into their component parts and that, like using our main SCP in its rough or coarse settings, but possibly in a more refined way. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they include this. Here we have another SCP-212 is the Improver. That can horribly and very painfully reconstruct living organisms and turn them into better living organisms. This is probably going to be quite gruesome, but I can see many dark ways in which this can be included in the whole process. Each of these SCPs has their own article in the wiki. There's another one, the Everything Tree. You touch an object to its bark and it produces an exact duplicate of that object. I think that's what it's supposed to do. Obviously it's a way of just duplicating more items to do experiments on. It's also still in development. We'll see what it is. And then this is your research team, who seem to be an emulation of the hallway board in which you bring objects to these people that they are asking for. These guys just I'm talking to. I think as you level up your reputation, they'll start talking to you and give you things. This lady says she wants this thing, and you would have to poke at the machine until you give this thing and give it to her, and then she'll ask for different stuff, and you'll presumably get more reputation, and unlock more items, more objects, and more quests to go for. So that is the game in a nutshell. I hope all of that made sense to you. A very strange institute. Why does it have these darkened areas that you can't get into? I don't know. It's odd. Anyway, so that is the game and the gameplay. And I hope that has given those of you who might want to play it enough information to potentially come and play it. If it does, then go and play it. And if you don't know what SCP is, go and look at the wiki. And thank you for watching. And don't forget to like the video if you liked it, and if you're excited about the game. Might as well give me a like, because it costs nothing and I can feed off the excitement a little bit. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more indie games reviewed, which is the main thing that we do here. We try and push indie games out because that is the best way to compete with AAA game studios, because they need to be pulled into line and not make the trash with microtransactions. And there are better things to do. Gaming is a better thing to do than, say, gambling and stuff like that. So yeah, this is why I do what I do. So if you approve of that, please subscribe, because it's a good thing. And leave comments, because comments are engagement, and engagement trains the YouTube algorithm for you, so it helps you. So yeah, that's the reason why I push that kind of thing. So yeah, please do that, and thank you for watching if you are not interested in the critique, and I will see you in the next video. Now, if you are here for the critique, well, there is a lot to talk about here, but I don't know at what level to talk about these things, because this is, as I said, a game that's very much in development. So I don't know what changes and things are going to be made to it. So a bunch of my critique might be utterly pointless. But I will talk about it anyway, because that's what we do here. And I assume the devs will ignore anything that is going to be resolved or doesn't match their vision. And hopefully will be inspired or enthused by the things that I do point out that might actually help them. Let's start at the beginning with the intro that led into the game, the tutorial. Guessing it was written by someone who's possibly not first language English, or at least was writing in a hurry. It needs quite a bit of polish and tidying up to speak more clearly, explain what's going on a bit more clearly. I mean, the explanation was fine in terms of this is how the game works, but it was fairly roughly written, and it didn't give the game a very good first impression, at least for me. And I think the intro could also add with a bit more guidance. It kind of goes, this is how the thing works, and then leaves you to mess around. I think it should help you finish the first quest, and possibly not even start there. It should start maybe with the research team. They give you the first mission, and then the tutorial should tell you how to get to the SCP, and should kind of tell you how to create the first item and basically finish that first quest and give you your first couple of reputation points. And I'm guessing that's the plan in the future. I'm guessing / hoping, but either way, it needs some cleanup and some polishing there. And of course, we need a gameplay mechanism for getting new items. To suddenly have them in your inventory is a bit weird. My guess is that, like, this materials lab and things like that might be where you get the items going forwards, and that's how you put things into your inventory. I'm hoping a mechanism like that is going to be part of the plan. So you should, I'm assuming, be some kind of junior researcher who gets your first mission, goes and fetches your first material, like the steel cube or something, from the materials lab, puts it in the machine, runs it, and goes and hands it back to the researcher going forwards. That would be probably, I'm guessing, the core gameplay there. and then other interesting items get tested and on the various other SCPs and that sort of thing. Yeah, and I mean, really, that's my critiques in a nutshell, is that there is gameplay mechanisms missing here, and I would very much love to see where the game goes, where it's going to go, and of course where the horror elements are. I think it's important to remember that SCP is essentially supernatural horror, and that the artifacts are ranked from safe to apocalyptic. And this is an institute that is protecting the world from these entities, and that's what attracts people to it, is that this is a scary space. The entities are terrifying. I'm concerned that this game is going to go a little bit too much into the strategy management side of things and not enough in the horror elements. So I'm really hoping to see a lot more horror become part of the mechanisms here. From the sort of images on the game starting page, I'm thinking, yes, that's a likely component here, but just in case, I thought I would mention, please don't forget the horror components. It's quite important to make this game reach the charm that people are expecting in it. And yeah, look, the game sounds are fine, except there's a slight bug with the sound there on the main page. Not a bug, but I mean, it's if you turn the music down, you're expecting all of the music to go down, not just the main music, and then there's still background music. The art is all fantastic. Everything looks good. Everything is well designed. Like I mentioned, this map's a little weird in the way there's like gaps here and things like that, but it does make it a lot easier to click on the relative elements, which I'm guessing was the point. Look, I could carry on talking about fine details of the game all day, but and the things I want to see in it, and I shouldn't do that because it's not my game, it's not my design. So those are my main critiques and the things I want to say about it. Really, my goal here is just to show people the game, and to marshal the SCP fans behind this game, because this looks like it's going to be absolutely awesome, and I cannot wait to see where it goes. And let's just finish off by sticking my new object in the inventory. And then we will turn it onto very fine, because that's the exciting point here. And fire it off and see what comes out. What do we get? Really? An integrated pulley. Compact steel unit with built-in wheel and axle design for seamless tension management. Offers smooth, frictionless movement for cables and ropes and mechanical systems. I mean, is it supposed to be absolutely frictionless? Because that would be quite remarkable. Anyway, so that's the game, and thank you for watching. And don't forget to comment, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.